Vibe coding has now just caught on fire, right? The coding community is all talking about it. Big barrier so far has been that you don't know programming, you don't know how to write code. That sort of goes away, at least in the earlier stages. And now this whole cycle that used to take a really long time, depending on what kind of software you're building, is now flattened out and short into hours even. Build a product per your taste for this customer, but put it out there really fast. Test it, get feedback. There's this whole religious war on, is this the right thing for you to be doing? Do IDs even exist anymore? Do you even write code at all? What is the future of software going to look like in a few years? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Aarthi and Sriram show. Today we are going to talk about something that's starting to or already changing how early stage founders are building products and how they're able to go find success. There's this new approach that you've probably heard of if you're in the world of AI-based software development called vibe coding. And vibe coding is this whole phenomenon where you start to have conversations with your AI tool of choice, and you're able to build software incredibly fast by just working with the AI. And in many cases, people are not writing a single line of code or almost no code at all. 95% of it is AI generated code. Um, and just being able to get the product built really, really fast. And then at the same time, the fundamental truth of startups, what is a successful company or a product? What is a good market to go build in? How do you find product market fit? Those haven't quite changed. So today I want to do a quick episode to talk through how do you find product market fit and how do you use vibe coding to your advantage? And how do you see these two worlds coming together or colliding and make things work to your advantage? And this is a part of my early stage startup series that I've been doing. And if there are specific topics that you'd like me to cover as a part of this startup series, please leave a comment. And I talk to and work with a lot of founders every week, and I get a lot of ideas on what to go cover. As a startup founder builder myself, I want to. Part of the reason I'm doing this is to tell people to not make the same mistakes I made, go make different mistakes, but also collect the information on what's happening right now and be able to share that with everybody else who are in the similar situation on thinking about new ideas, thinking about building companies, but not really sure where to start. And so I hope you find this series useful. With that, let's dive in. So what's vibe coding? If you've been following AI developments, you've probably seen, I think, earlier this year, Andrej Karpathy wrote this tweet. And for folks who don't know who Andrej is, he's this computer scientist who's incredibly well known in that circles. He was one of the founding members of OpenAI or co-founders of OpenAI. And before that, I think he led the Tesla autopilot team, the AI team at Tesla, working on computer vision. So incredibly accomplished computer scientist. Wrote this tweet saying he's all in on vibe coding, where he claims, he says, fully given to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists. And I think when he first wrote this, people sort of sat up and was like, "Whoa!" It's a bit amusing because this is Karpathy, who's a computer genius, talking about how he's barely writing any code and is able to build a bunch of products by just vibing with your AI system or tool of choice. And so vibe coding has now just caught on fire, right? The coding community is all talking about it. There are lots of pros and cons to it. There's this whole religious war on, is this the right thing for you to be doing? Do IDs even exist anymore? Do you even write code at all? What is the future of software going to look like in a few years? There's this whole other camp of people being like, well, the trad software building or the traditional approach does not go away if you're thinking about scaling, building it for the right set of audience, and maintaining the code base. And it's early days. I'm curious to see what happens. But generally, vibe coding is a paradigm where you embrace AI to write most of your code. You're going from being a programmer who understands programming languages, who's an expert in it, to go build things, to basically becoming more of a product designer or a product engineer, where you think about the outcomes and what you want to go build without thinking about how you're going to go execute on it. And you go really fast. You go 10x, 100x as fast as you would have done before by leaning into AI coding tools. And speaking of AI coding tools, there's so many out there, and I've used about half a dozen of them, and I'm sure you've all. There's going to be a lot more coming pretty much every single day. Replit, Cursor, Bolt, Data Button, and the latest Y Combinator batch is A0 for building just mobile apps and turnkey solutions for mobile. So many Windsurf. There's so many out there. I'm sure there are a few folks who are going to get offended that I didn't mention theirs. But lots and lots of amazing, incredible AI tools out there. And I've used a bunch of these where I'm blown away. There's so much that you can get done so fast. And for me, I think I mentioned this on Twitter too. I like to build the back end side of things. I'm terrible at the front end building, HTML, CSS, JavaScript side of things. And it's just amazing to be able to now build semi decent prototypes, MVPs in an hour or a couple of hours and ship it, get it in front of customers. So I'm all in on this whole new way of conversational AI or building with building software, leveraging AI as such. And I'm also seeing traction, right? I'm seeing these incredible pieces of software being built, like flight simulators, games out there, B2B business apps, all of these with this vibe coding approach and this built this way, without not having to write most code or not writing a single line of code before. To me, the nice part of this is it's democratizing software development as we see it, right? I think um, if you look at the days before smartphones and after smartphones, post smartphones, post your iPhone, Android, everybody is a photographer now. You can pick up your phone and start taking photos. In the past, that wasn't the case. You had to sort of qualify and be a have the right equipment and tools and training to be a photographer. And I think similarly now we are starting to see how AI is making pretty much everyone a software developer, which I think, no matter where you stand on this religious argument of vibe coding, it doesn't change the fact that, there are lots and lots of people with incredible ideas that they want to put out in the world. And the big barrier so far has been that you don't know programming, you don't know how to write code. And now that sort of goes away, at least in the earlier stages. I think in the later stages, we still yet to see how maintaining code bases, building additional features on top, testing, all of that is going to scale over time. But at least in the earliest stages of company building or prototype building, it's amazing to see completely non-technical people be able to get into it, vibe code their way into building a prototype really, really quickly. Now, let's talk about product market fit. Lots and lots of essays out there, lots of YouTube videos on finding product market fit, what that means. I don't want to regurgitate a lot of it. There's a lot of content and material out there. But my point is, just because you're able to build really fast or build without writing most or any of your code doesn't mean that leads to certainty of finding product market fit. You still have to work your way towards that, right? And one of my favorite essays on the topic of product market fit, for those who are interested, is by Mark Andreessen. I think he wrote this in 2005, 2007, something like a long time ago, where he talks about how the only thing that really matters for your company, for company building, is finding product market fit, where the definition is really being in a good market with a product that can satisfy the market. And you can feel it, right? You can feel what if you've built a company that has found product market fit and you've been inside it, you know what that is like. It's like it's buzzy. People are talking about it. Maybe journalists are calling you or writing about you. There's user growth without you having to artificially push this rock up the hill. Things seem to be naturally happening. and there is just this momentum and energy that you can just feel it. You also, I mean, product market fit, lots and lots of people have talked about the metrics that you look at. You look at the retention curves where even as you're adding new users to your product, your retention stabilizes or even grows over time, which means there is stickiness. There are people who are uh, testing your product, sticking with it, and continuing to go use your product on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis. You have metrics for these on DAU, WAU, MAU. This in combination with user growth or adding more people to your top of funnel, you're able to figure out different ways to go measure product market fit for you. So building faster with AI doesn't really change the reality of what product market fit is. I think it just lets you search for product market fit in a more efficient manner. So, how do you use vibe coding to your advantage to be able to find product market fit faster? One, your workflow is now completely different. Your 0 to 1 product development is much, much faster. Two, you're looking at it as spending more time thinking about the system or what you're trying to go build, who your customer is, how they're going to go use the product, and thinking about it in terms of the customer outcomes as opposed to thinking about it in terms of execution, like how are you going to go get things done, right? I think the focus now switches into really having a vision on what you want to go build and spending a lot more time there. Like I think I recently read this article on how it's become 80/20, where 80% of the time that you spend is about thinking about what you're trying to go build and architecting it in your mind and putting it on paper. Whether if you're writing a game, focusing on that game design document. If you're writing a B2B software product, thinking about the product requirements document and the customer cohort, how are they going to use it, all of that. And so that now changes a little bit. And three, you're thinking about taste, right? Like now taste comes into taste, and your creativity and consistent creativity plays a bigger role with respect to how you're going to go build products. And four, as a sort of a corollary of fast company building or prototyping, now you can also iterate really really fast, build a product per your taste for this customer, but put it out there really fast, test it, get feedback, come back, make fixes or make changes, keep tweaking, and so on. And now, this whole cycle that used to take a really long time, depending on what kind of software you're building, is now flattened out and shortened to hours, even, right? Which is incredible. So now, this iterative approach is perfect for you to go find product market fit because it lets you test your core assumptions really, really fast. And instead of spending months, weeks building something that you don't really know if people want or you don't know if it's solving that right problem, you can build a very basic version in hours, days, and get it in front of users and quickly pivot. And fast pivots are all, I talk to a lot of founders who started with an idea, pivoted to another idea, and like 3, 4 pivots in, they finally hit that product market fit definition. And now they're now throwing more fuel into the fire to be able to hit scale, distribution, and all of that stuff, which is amazing to see. And how you can now take something, this new paradigm called vibe coding, into finding your product market fit in a really fast way. The fundamental principles don't change, but how quickly you can go get there and what your role becomes and how you can balance the speed with the structure of building a company has now completely changed, right? So to me, the entire concept of finding product market fit is basically a series of experiments. You take a hypothesis about what your market needs or what your customers are looking for. You use vibe coding to be able to build a minimum version, test it out, test that hypothesis out, and get it in front of users quickly. Then you analyze the results, see what's working, see what isn't. If there's no stickiness, no adoption, people don't really care for it, then you get rid of it. You basically, in many cases, people don't even iterate on it. They just rewrite the whole thing and decide whether you want to go persist or you pivot based on the results and repeat. keep doing this over and over again until you find or you feel that product market fit is happening. I think this is going to be the future, right? This is how people are going to start building products. It's all going to be rapid iteration prototyping. And what we used to say rapid before is going to sound really, really slow now, where things are going to scale really fast. Now, this also doesn't take away the realities of scaled software building. Like vibe coding is great, prototyping, getting to MVP state is awesome. I often see a lot of founders now with second year ish. Now it's been 2+ years of using an AI tool to be able to generate code. Now you're starting to see constraints around versioning, around technical debt. Who's going to maintain all this code that is AI generated? You didn't write the code, you don't fully understand it, you didn't even like fully debug it, right? Like when you debugged it, you basically copy pasted the error and tried to just fix it. So if you don't truly go understand the quality of the AI generated code, then I think you have to really start thinking about maintenance and building on top of it once you found product market fit. Now, there are many approaches to this. You can figure out, hey, I'm going to get to this MVP state or get to the product market fit state. Then I'm going to get rid of the entire code base, start over from scratch, and then maintain this, write this code in a way that is maintainable for me. I understand the code. I'm writing it in a language that I can actually hire people for. There is existing, pool of engineers who are writing code or are experts in that programming language or in that framework, and go build from there. So you basically do a full rewrite once you've iterated and found product market fit, or you sort of figure out how do you then think about scale, right? Like, are you going to now start making tweaks to the code base? Are you now going to rein it in? Are you going to think about security? If it's especially if you're like building for another business, building for enterprises, you have to think about their constraints, where it is going to get deployed, how their developers are going to go use it, and so on. So all of that starts to now matter. So finding product market fit is one big milestone, but after that, how do you think about AI generated code with respect to technical debt, scale, maintenance? None of those challenges have really gone away. So I'm curious to see how that world is going to go evolve over time. Um, and then I think people are in this whole world of vibe coding and rapid iteration, people are now starting to think about uh, effects of scale, effects of distribution, right? Trying to go figure out if you're the first to market with a AI built product. I don't know if that's going to matter as much. If a different company has better ways to go distribute their product. So I think distribution and finding, hitting network effects is going to come into much more stark focus now, because the barrier to entry to building a product and iterating and getting to MVP is now so low that you're just going to find a ton more products out there. Um, and also, how do you know when we say distribution, it's not just acquiring customers, but what is stickiness? What is retention? Why do they stick around? Why not go to somebody else? And thinking about all of that, right? So, um, all this to say, if you're starting out building a company, here is sort of what I would do if I were you, right? I think start to deeply understand your market, do your market research, fully think about what is the problem that you're trying to solve, what is that pain point that you're trying to fix, who are the customers that you're building for. None of that changes in this new paradigm of vibe coding. So go back to the fundamentals and really understand what you're trying to go build and write it all down. I think now documenting it, your design document, your requirements document becomes so important, because that's what is going to serve as the initial input into your AI coding tool, and then you're going to prompt your way into building the product. But really thinking through the market research, I think now plays a much bigger role than ever before, to use vibe coding to be able to rapidly test, iterate, build that product, and put it out there and test it with users. That cycle has now become so short, and use it to your advantage. And recognize when you've found product market fit, whether you're thinking through it in terms of retention plus user growth metrics, or whatever your definition of that looks like. There's tons and tons of good content out there. Recognize that as soon as you hit product market fit, double down on scale, double down on distribution. Um, this recent post I read from Andrew Chen from A16Z Games, where he talks about consistent creativity. And I love that phrasing where you have to consistently think about new innovative ideas because now everybody can build a prototype quickly. So, how do you continuously be innovative there? And that doesn't quite change. And then number four, remember that you can always feel product market fit. Mark Andreessen puts this well, where you can feel product market fit when it's happening, and once you hit that, start to think about what happens from here on with respect to not just scale, but maintaining the code, adding more features, serving your customers, and continuing to go build this product and getting it in front of more and more and more and more people. So I think in this whole age of vibe coding, everyone can build, but people who are successful are the ones who find product market fit and are able to stick with it and double down on it and continue to go scale from there. So that's it. Let me know in the comments if you are one of the people who are building using AI. Curious to see what tool you're using to go build and what you're building, if you're able to share. I meet a lot of founders who are now in this completely in the zone of vibe coding and are building a lot. I think I read this post about somebody building 30, 40 MVPs in 2 months or something of that sort, which is incredible. So if you are one of the people who are like building, please leave a comment. I would love to know what you're building. And if you found this useful, let me know if there are other topics that are like this that you would like me to cover on all things early stage startup building. Thank you again for listening, and enjoy.